Roberto Bautista Agut is a Spanish professional tennis player. He has won 4 ATP singles titles at the 2014 Topshelf Open, the 2014 Mercedes Cup, the 2016 ASB Classic and the inaugural 2016 Garanti Koza Sofia Open. Bautista reached the fourth round of the 2014 Australian Open, 2016 Australian Open, 2014 US Open, 2015 US Open and the 2015 Wimbledon Championships, the semi-finals of the 2014 Madrid Masters, and achieved a career-high singles ranking of world number 14 in October 2014. He is the first Spaniard younger than Rafael Nadal to get inside of the top 20. Tennis career. Juniors. As a junior, Bautista Agut compiled a singles win-loss record of 41-13, reaching as high as No. 47 in junior world rankings in July 2006. His junior Grand Slam results were Australian Open, none. French Open 2R, Wimbledon 2R, US Open 1R, 2009 to 2013 Pro Tour highlights. In 2009, Bautista Agut qualified for the ATP 500 tournament in Valencia, where he lost against Albert Montanez in the first round. He reached his first ATP-level quarter-final at St. Petersburg in 2012, losing to Fabio Fognini. Bautista Agut's first tournament of 2013 in Chennai saw him reach his first career ATP final. He defeated world number 6 Tomas Berdych in the quarterfinals in 3 sets and faced world No. 9 Janko Tipsarevic in the final, to whom he eventually lost after winning the first set. This run saw Bautista Agut reach a career-high singles ranking of world No. 51 in March 2013. 2014 career breakthrough. First 2 titles and world No. 14 ranking. Bautista Agut began his 2014 campaign in Auckland, where he made the semi-finals of the Heineken Open. He lost to third seed and eventual champion John Isner after winning the first set. Bautista Agut then participated in the Australian Open. Roberto began his campaign with a first-round, straight-sets victory over unseeded American Tim Smyczek. In the second round he would face an epic challenge against the world No. 5 Juan Martín del Potro. He recorded one of the 2014 Australian Open upsets, beating del Potro in a classic 5-setter. Following this Herculean effort, he earned the nickname Aussie Agut and enjoys a cult following in the Australian tennis community. He then took on Frenchman Benoit Paire in the third round. Roberto convincingly beat Benoit in straight sets. His campaign ended in the fourth round against Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov, losing in 4 sets. This was the best Grand Slam performance of his career to date. Bautista Agut's surprising performances earned him a call-up to Spain for the clash with Germany in the Davis Cup. Agut lost both of his rubbers to Philipp Kohlschreiber and Daniel Brands. Germany would go on to win the tie 4-1. After the disappointing Davis Cup ties, Roberto played in the Open 13 tournament in Marseille. Roberto's tournament ended in the second round against Latvian and 2014 tournament champion Ernsts Gulbis. Roberto would then play in the Dubai Tennis Championships. Roberto's tournament ended in the second round against world No. 2 Novak Djokovic. Bautista Agut then participated in the first Masters 1000 event of the year, the Indian Wells Masters. In the second round, Agut faced a massive challenge against the tournament's 4th seed and big serving Czech Tomas Berdych. Once again, he came up with a massive upset, winning in 3 sets after losing the first. His tournament ended in the 4th round with a defeat to Ernsts Gulbis. On the 17th of March, Agut rose to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 47. Bautista Agut then played in the Miami Masters tournament. He made it to the tournament's third round, where he lost in 3 tight sets to Fabio Fognini. On the 31st of March, Agut rose to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 44. Next, in April, he played at the Monte Carlo Masters. In the second round, Roberto took on Fognini. Again, just like in Miami, the Italian got the better of the Spaniard in 2 sets. Roberto's next tournament was the Barcelona Open. Roberto's tournament ended with a second-round defeat to the eventual 2014 tournament champion, Kei Nishikori. Next, in May, Roberto played in the next Masters 1000 tournament, which was the Madrid Open. In the first round, Roberto took on fellow Spaniard and 16th seed Tommy Robredo and made headlines with an upset on the tournament's opening day. Winning in straight sets, Roberto made it all the way to the tournament's semi-finals after beating former top 10 players, Grand Slam semi-finalists and current in-form players en route to this stage. In the semi-final, Agut took on world No. 1 Rafael Nadal. Nadal mentioned that Agut is a really dangerous opponent, and Agut certainly gave Rafa a run for his money. In the end, the world No. 1 was the better player in 2 sets. This was Roberto Bautista Agut's best-ever Masters tournament performance. On the 12th of May, Agut rose 17 places in the ATP singles rankings to a personal best world No. 28. The next tournament was the Italian Open. Roberto lost in the first round to Dmitry Tursunov. Roberto's defeat was believed to be due to fatigue following his outstanding Madrid Open performance. Roberto then played in the French Open. This was Roberto's first Grand Slam where he was one of the top 32 seeded players, seeded 27. In the first round, Roberto took on Italian qualifier Paolo Lorenzi and beat him in straight sets. In the second round, he took on Frenchman Benoit Paire. Roberto extended his 2014 head-to-head record to 3-0 against Benoit with a 3-set victory. In the third round, he took on world No. 6 Tomas Berdych. Roberto beat the Czech earlier this year at Indian Wells and he led the career head-to-head record 2-1. Roberto showed his true grit and determination, but he failed to manage a third victory over the big-serving Czech, losing in 4 sets. In preparation for Wimbledon, Agut played in the Topshelf Open. He was the tournament's third seed and won the title, his first ATP title, defeating former champion Benjamin Becker in the final in 3 sets. On the 23rd of June, Agut rose to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 23. Roberto then played in the Wimbledon Championships, where he was seeded 27th. In the first round, he took on American Steve Johnson. This was the third time they met in 2014, with all of the meetings coming in the first round of the tournaments. Agut won the match in a tight 4-setter. In the second round, he took on Czech qualifier Jan Hernage and again won in 4 sets after dropping the second. He then took on the defending champion Andy Murray in the third round. Agut put up a great fight, but Murray's class on grass was just too difficult to beat. Murray mentioned how Roberto has won a lot of matches lately, winning on grass last week in Holland. He has made a lot of improvements and fights very hard. I hung in some of the games. Agut lost the match in straight sets. This was his best Wimbledon result. After Wimbledon, Roberto went back to playing on the clay surface in Germany. Roberto was the third seed in the Mercedes Cup based in Stuttgart. Since Roberto was seeded, he was given a first round bye and automatically qualified for the second round. In the semi-final, Agut recorded an upset, beating defending champion Fabio Fognini for only the second time in his career. This result led Agut to take on Lucas Rosol in the final. This was Roberto's third professional ATP tournament final. Agut won the final in 3 sets, claiming his second 250-level title. On the 14th of July, Agut made the top 20 for the first time, rising to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 18. Roberto continued playing on clay surface tennis courts in Germany. This time he played in an ATP 500 tournament in Hamburg. Roberto was the 6th seed in the International German Open and was therefore given a first-round bye. However, Agut would withdraw from the tournament due to fatigue caused from playing too much tennis. On the 21st of July, Agut rose to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 16. After his Stuttgart victory, Agut pulled out of 2 tournaments and rested for 3 weeks to prepare for the next Masters 1000 event in Toronto. This was Roberto's first Masters tournament where he was seeded. He was the 14th seed in the Rogers Cup. Unfortunately, Roberto was eliminated in the opening round, suffering a defeat at the hands of fellow Spaniard Feliciano Lopez. After the Toronto disappointment, Agut traveled to the United States, where he would play as the 13th seed in the Western and Southern Open in Cincinnati. Roberto's tournament ended in the second round with a straight sets defeat to the entertaining Frenchman Gaël Monfils. Roberto would then go on to play in the U.S. Open. Agut was the 17th seed in the U.S. Open. In the first round he took on Austrian Andreas Heidemauer. Roberto struggled in beating his opponent in a tight 5-set affair. He then took on American wildcard Tim Smychuk in the second round. He cruised past the American in an easy straight sets victory. In the third round, he took on Frenchman Adrien Manarino, defeating him in straight sets, advancing to his first round of 16 at the U.S. Open. Roberto then took on the No. 2 seed Roger Federer for the first time. Despite Agut's hard efforts, he could not stop Federer winning points at the net, and he therefore lost in straight sets. This was Agut's best ever US Open campaign, and he equaled his best career Grand Slam result. After the successful US Open campaign, Agut rose to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 15. After a couple of weeks' rest, Agut was the 6th seed in the Rakuten Tennis Championships. Agut's tournament ended in the first round, as an injury forced him to retire from his encounter with Gilles Simon. Agut was the 16th seed in the Shanghai Rolex Masters. Agut's tournament ended in the third round with a defeat to the Roger Federer. Agut would then head off to Russia to play in the Kremlin Cup tournament held in Moscow. In the semi-finals, he took on the tournament's third seed, Ernest Gulbis, for the third time this year without winning any game. In fact, the head-to-head read that Gulbis led 3-0 and this would be an easy match for the Latvian. But the head-to-head was no distraction for Agut as he breezed into the final with a score of 6-4. 6-4. He then took on the Croatian 2014 US Open champion Marin Cilic in the final. His brilliant tournament ended with a tight straight-set defeat. On the 20th of October, Agut rose to a new personal best singles world ranking of No. 14. After a successful campaign in Russia, Agut headed off to the country of his birth to play in an ATP 500 tournament. Agut was the 6th seed in the Valencia Open. In the second round, Agut pulled out from playing against Thomas Bellucci due to injury. Roberto would then travel to France to play in the final Masters 1000 event of the year. Agut was the 11th seed in the BNP Paribas Masters. Since he was a seeded player, he was given a first-round bye. Agut's tournament ended in the third round with a defeat to Canadian and 7th seed Milos Raonic. This defeat ended Agut's chance to qualify for the World Tour Finals in London. After his outstanding season, Agut won the ATP's Most Improved Player award. At the end of the best season in his career so far, Agut finished 2014 with a singles ranking of World No. 15, and a doubles ranking of World No. 255. Agut began his new season as the third seed in the 2015 SL Chennai Open. Agut progressed to the semi-final where he would lose to British qualifier Roberto Bautista Agut then played in the first slam of the year in Melbourne. Roberto was the 13th seed in the 2015 Australian Open. Roberto began his campaign against Dominic Thiem. Agut won in 4 sets after dropping the first. His next opponent was Luxembourg's Gilles Muller. His tournament ended in a 4-setter. In February, Agut travelled to France to play in the 2015 Open 13 tournament in Marseille. Agut's tournament ended in the semi-final against the entertaining local star, Gael Monfils. In April, Agut travelled to the clay surface courts of Barcelona to play in the Barcelona Open. Agut made it to the finals stage but lost in the quarter-final in a tight 3-setter against defending champion Kei Nishikori. Later that month he travelled to Germany to play in the 2015 BMW Open in Munich. Agut made it all the way to the semi-final where he eventually lost to top seed Andy Murray. In late May, Agut travelled to Paris to play in the year's second major. Agut was the 19th seed in the French Open. In the opening round he was drawn to take on Florian Mayer. He ousted the German in straight sets. He then took on Lucas Rosol in the second round. His tournament ended with a straight sets defeat. 1 month later, Agut travelled to England to play in the year's third major. Agut was the 20th seed in the Wimbledon Championships. Agut began his campaign with a straight sets victory over Belgian Ruben Bemelmans. He then took on Benoit Paire in the second round. Agut experienced a scare after being down 2-0 against the Frenchman he loves to beat, but the Spaniard did manage to win convincingly in the final 3 sets. He would then go on to take on Georgian qualifier Nicolas Basilashvili in the third round. After a tie-break in the first set, Agut easily won the next 2 to advance to the round of 16 in straight sets. His fourth-round opponent was 7-time Wimbledon champion, tournament second seed and tennis legend Roger Federer. Unfortunately, Agut's tournament ended to the Swiss maestro in straight sets. Despite the defeat, this was Agut's best Wimbledon result and equal best Grand Slam result, as he also reached the fourth round in the 2014 US and Australian Opens. In July, Agut played as the second seed in the 2015 Croatia Open. Agut advanced to the semi-final where he would be defeated by Portuguese player João Sousa. In September, the fourth and final major of the year was held in the Big Apple. Agut was the 23rd seed in the 2015 US Open. In the first round he took on French wildcard Pierre-Hugues Herbert. He defeated the Frenchman in straight sets. In the second round he took on fellow Spaniard Pablo Carreño Busta. The Spanish Davis Cup teammates knew each other's style of play well, resulting in a 5-setter where Agut would come out on top. In the third round he took on 14th-seeded Belgian David Goffin. Goffin led by 2-0, with Agut getting one back in the third. In the fourth set, Agut was up a break, leading 3-1 before Goffin had to retire due to illness. In the fourth round, Roberto took on the world number 1 from Serbia, Novak Djokovic. Although he lost, Agut still shocked the world No. 1 after taking a set off the Serb, which was Djokovic's first set in New York since the 2011 Major. Despite losing, Agut did manage to repeat his equal best performance in New York for a second consecutive year. He then played in the St. Petersburg Open where he was the 4th seed. It would go on to lose in the semi-finals to second seed Milos Raonic. He was the 2nd seed in the Kremlin Cup in Moscow. He made the final again and took on the exact opponent from Croatia Marin Cilic and still had no luck this time around, losing ironically by the exact same scoreline 4-6. 4-6. He was the 7th seed in the 2015 Valencia Open. With top seeds falling, it was a shock draw, with Agut being the only seeded player remaining in the draw. Agut made it all the way to the final, and in the final Agut was up a set and a break but failed to consolidate, going on to lose the match, which was the story of his 2015 season in tournament decisive matches. At the end of 2015, Agut finished outside the top 20 with a ranking of 25. In the 2016 ASB Classic, Agut knocked out defending champion Jerry Vesely, 3rd-seeded American John Isner and 2nd-seeded Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, his first top 10 scalp in 2 years, on his way to the final where he took on talented American Jack Sock. Roberto was crowned champion after the American retired in the 2nd set. In the 2016 Australian Open, Agut was seeded 24th. Only 2 days after his ASB Classic final win, he took on Martin Klizan from Slovakia in the first round. He suffered a scare as he was down 2-0 but eventually prevailed in 5 sets. He also won in 5 sets against his second-round opponent Dusan Lajovic, which set him up with a third-round clash with 12th seed Marin Cilic. He went on to beat Cilic for the first time in his career in a shock straight sets result, setting up a matchup with the 6th seed Tomas Berdych. Agut didn't come on the right side of the 5-setter this time around as he lost a thriller and ended his chances to reach his first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal. After the Australian Open, Agut's first tournament was based in Bulgaria. Agut entered the 2016 Garanti Koza Sofia Open as the number 1 seed. Agut made it all the way to the final where he took on Serbian 2nd seed Viktor Troicki. Agut would go on to win the inaugural Garanti Koza Sofia Open to win his 4th career title and 2nd in 2016. In the 2nd Masters 1000 event of the year, Agut was seeded 17th in the 2016 Miami Open. He took on Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga for the 2nd time this year in the 3rd round. Agut scalped his 2nd win over the top 10 Tsonga and ironically his 2nd top 10 victory of 2016 with a 3-setter. His tournament ended in the following round against 6th seed Kei Nishikori. Head-to-head statistics. Head-to-head record against top 20 players. Agut's win-loss record against players who were ranked world no. 20 at the time is as follows. Asterisk statistics correct as of March 29, 2016. Wins over top 10 players. ATP Career Finals. Singles 8 Challenger and Futures Finals. Singles 19 Singles Performance Timeline. Personal life. Roberto's nickname is Barty. His father, Joaquin, is a former football player and a current banker. Mother, Esther, owns a clothing store. Bautista Agut started playing tennis at the age of 5 when his mother signed him up to play on the weekends. His favorite shot is his forehand. His idols growing up were Juan Carlos Ferrero and David Ferrer. Beyond tennis, he enjoys horseback riding and playing various sports, mainly football. He supports Villarreal CF and CD Castellón. He played football for Villarreal CF until he was 14 when he decided to focus on his tennis career.